Now, residents in the South of Joburg are frustrated and fed up. Areas like South Hills have not had water since August. They rely quite heavily on water tankers for their supply, but there's a glimmer of hope. Rand Water has announced their full pumping capacity has been restored in all of their systems and that reservoirs are gradually filling up. Now, the Water Utility CEO Sipho Mosai is joining me now for this conversation, not Rand Water's spokesperson. Rand Water CEO Sipho Mosai joins me now for this conversation. Thank you so much, Sipho, for your time. And a very warm good morning to you. I mean, we're understanding that you've sent out communication that full capacity has now been restored to all systems. But how long do you think it will take, rather, for reservoirs then to fill up and for people to start getting water? Or have they already?
Morning, Tumelo. Thank you so much for having us. It will certainly take a bit of time. Really, it's a function of water consumption in municipalities, particularly the ones that you are mentioning. Correctly, we are pumping at full capacity, full steam, and the reservoirs will continuously fill and will fill at the rate at which water has been abstracted out of those reservoirs. So the indication from Johannesburg Water is that some of the areas are already starting to get water, and it will build up over a period of time, leading into the next number of days, depending again on the abstraction by those that have water. So it is important that the message goes out there to ensure that those that have water use it sparingly, so that those that don't, we will see a benefit of this full pumping capacity. But indeed, from our side, it's all systems go. The system is fully recovered, and we're filling the reservoirs that supply municipalities. As you know, ours is to supply bulk water to municipalities through a network of reservoirs that we have from our purification works that we are currently augmenting together with the reservoirs that we have launched in February, and the new water treatment work that we launched now, that you see in the background, that we launched in August 2023.
Yeah. And what's the current water consumption? We've heard this over and over again, the appeal to consumers, to use water sparingly, to watch their consumption. But as it stands right now, what's the consumption rate?
From the bulk point of view, we are seeing the average to be around 4,800, but we are peaking at just more than 5,000. i.e., beyond the maximum pumping capacity that we have. As Rand Water, we, through our purification works, we produce north of 5,000 megaliters of water a day. And as I indicated in August, what you see in the background here, we have added an additional 150 million liters of water into the system. And we are finishing this engine room. We're going to be adding another 450 million liters of water a day. So the consumption is really more than our treatment capacity of 5,000. But on average, we are fine. From July, we have seen an average of water consumption moving from 4,300 to 4,800. And then we started raising concerns as at then to say we need to watch and this demand, and we communicated to our municipalities. So it's sitting at just around about peak numbers of 5,100, and I think it's more because it's also drawing too much from our reservoirs. This is the water that we put in the system for times like this, so that municipalities can benefit from.
What water usage levels are you then hoping for as Rand Water?
The well average, by and large, is sitting at about 173 liters per person per day. Our estimate, we supplied to about 16, 17 million consumers in our area of operation. And if we look at the numbers and the amount of water that we put in, and taking away 10% or less that goes to industries, consumption is sitting close to 300 liters per person per day. The well average is 173 liters per person per day. We've seen cities like Cape Town, London, and the others just slightly south of 100 liters per person per day. So if you compare us with other cities here in Gauteng, it's the most threefold the actual consumption. So ideally, If we can bring that number close to that world average, we shouldn't be having problems. The whole notion is that if we draw too much, more than what is sufficient to do, and we are in the low-lying areas, most municipalities rely on head. Head means volume in our reservoir to pressurize their high-lying areas. If you do that, it means water will not reach certain areas. So be precise and direct to your question. If we can have that consumption going anywhere close to the world averages, we shouldn't be having a challenge that we're having. We are using threefold in the 3 metros that we supply of what we ought to be consuming at this point in time. Of course, the issues of leaks in municipalities and water losses are something that we have requested, and Minister is currently coordinating us. We're working very closely with municipalities to see what is the best way to respond, to deal with the 45% of non-revenue water that is sitting in the municipalities that we supply with water at this point in time. And we're devising plans and means to work with our municipalities to bring that down, to assist with the consumption of water, or to assist with the volumes of water to get to everybody. But from the bulk side, I think the number speaks for themselves. We are putting more than enough into the system to go about for everyone.
Just for clarity's sake, Sipho, is water consumption probably the only reason why we're seeing water levels where they are? I'm asking this because I'm just wondering that if the communication constantly says, please use water, sparingly, watch your consumption, very, very much a fair appeal to, residents. But at the same time, it seems like there are also fears that will stage 2 of, water restrictions kick in. Are all these problems that we're looking at here attributed just to water consumption, or perhaps is there more?
No, of course, there's more. I think, as I indicate, that if you look at what the department is called no-drop reports.
Right.
No-drop report talks about water lost in the value chain. As rainwater, we are losing at about 5%. We're working long and hard to bring it down. The world average is around 20 or so. Municipalities are losing upwards of 30, and non-revenue, according to that report, says 42% or so. So that needs to be whittled down. That needs to be addressed, in our view, urgently. So it's not only the consumption in households, it's non-revenue water that is lost. How do we resolve? Our view is that there needs to be serious investment in water infrastructure to upgrade it, to refurbish, to maintain it at municipal level, to address the issues that are specific to water losses. So if you take 5,000 that we put in the system and you say 30% of that is lost, we're talking 1,500 million liters of water that goes to waste, that doesn't reach households. So I think our clarion call to consumers is to work together with all of us in the value chain. We have a role to play, and certainly we don't want this message to come out as blaming consumers. No, certainly we are saying if municipalities, if bulk water producers, if consumers, we all do our bit, we can rise above this challenge and ensure that those that have sporadic supply of water get water consistently. So it can be done. Other cities have done it.
Right.
Other areas and regions have done it. And certainly, Tumelo, you're right. It's not only, we cannot only blame consumers. We're not blaming, we are requesting support. And that is why the key word is urging, that we do our bit to ensure that we build a resilient infrastructure going forward.
Well, thank you so much, CEO, for speaking to us and also just alleviating, some of our fears just in terms of the work that's been done behind the scenes to ensure that we find, water and we make sure that everyone has access to that water. But like you said, we all have to work together. It needs to be hands on deck. So thank you so much for speaking to me. That's where I leave it, and enjoy the rest of your Heritage Day. The Rand Water CEO Sipho Mosai joining me there, talking about, of course, where they are in terms of water levels, consumption, saying that it's not, the blame is not being placed on residents' consumption, just saying that let's all work together, ensuring that we do preserve water and use it sparingly so that we can continue to have access to water. Rand Water CEO Sipho Mosai.